Celeste, though. And we know with his performance on Mages lately, this might be a struggle.
Yeah, coming into today, they had only played Celeste once. And so it's definitely not one of their go-to picks, to say the least. But now SK, with their final selection, is going to be, again, very likely a pick for...
Petal, probably, I would say. Because
Yep.
it counters a glaive and it can jump around the lance. So Petal will probably be a good pick. Unless they want to pick CP Kestrel and play the range game here. But Lance and Glaive is really good into CP Kestrel.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
5 seconds
I think
bonus
the Petal
time.
would be a good pick, but they're going to go Alpha. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, Alpha is not that good into Lance. If the Lance knows what he's doing, he can Githian Wall.
I saw your tweet.
Yeah, that prime directive, if you time it correctly. There's a lot of plays that Lance can do.
Yes,
Glaive
the change in weapon power laners and CP laners becoming a little bit more viable, I guess, in 2.3 because weapon power laners are, I want to say they got nerfed a little bit with the attack speed changes. I think that was kind of the way things went. If I didn't misread the meta shift, it was more a case of weapon power laners were too strong in 2.2. Now in 2.3 everything's a little bit more balanced. But this Celeste has been ebbs and flows. This Celeste has been uprising, and we saw SK play it. Team Secret play it to some success, and then it didn't come through as it was banned by G2 in the last game. Now Hundor picking it up against SK. You have any thoughts about it?
Well, we've definitely seen the success parts of it. If you do have a heavy PO comp, you really bring that glass cannon online. And Keanu, at this point, with this Captain Glaive, we got Dark Potato on that Lance. I think it's bigger Lance than it is Glaive, at least in my eyes, because you can be offensive and defensive. You can look for combos with it, but you can also peel very nicely. And Vox is a little bit more of a ranged hero, right? If he wants to get in, he wants to focus down Hunter, he's going to have to get into that minefield range. And Alpha. If Alpha comes in, you got the core collapse, you can stop up aggression.
Yeah, no, 100%. As well as, Suijay, I think, mentioned it on the desk, but also has a great video on his Twitter if you ever want to stalk Suijay on Twitter. Of Githian Wall countering the Prime Directive. Like, it's no secret that Githian Wall can counter pretty much any dash, any jump on top of, and all those kind of movement abilities. But for G2, they have a lot of ways to kind of stop SK getting onto their backline. If they execute right, then Hundor can be kept very safe.
And that's going to be the big kind of theme here for G2. Keep Hundor safe. Now, he's not hyper farming, quote, like what we saw a little bit earlier on with our Celeste, but there's going to be a nice even distribution of gold. If Dark Potato comes in through here with that Impale, with that Afterburn, and
almost the Wombo combo. They miss out on the Impale, so that would have been perhaps the difference between a kill and no kill. Kavalapa just about escapes. Actually, it's Tyros coming into the lane. They're going to spot Dark Potato in this lane. Oh, there's the aggression coming out of Tyros, knocked away by the Giphy Wall. Good timing from Dark Potato, and everyone's just going to back off at this point.
All right, so they back off. That was almost the Wombo combo right there, but there's three distinct sets of crowd control available here to G2, right? You have that Afterburn that you set up with Keanu into an Impale, the Githian there from Dark Potato as well, plus Hundor and the Core Collapse. So any combination of that, if they catch Kavalafar, could be a very dead Vox. If they find the Core Collapse from a Prime Directive or a Githian Wall on that Prime Directive on top of Tyra as well, that is going to stop up a lot of the aggression here from that Alpha as well. Might not be a straight-up kill because of the infinite reboot, but it really buys you a lot of time to get repositioning off, and the team will kind of scramble to protect their robot as she's trying to come back into life. So SK got to be very, very light on their feet. They got to make sure that nothing chains down on top of them. And okay, Dark Potato beat me to it. I was going to say, we could even see a Dark Potato tension bow early to try to patch up some of the early game power, and in order to let Hundor have a bit of a smoother ride to mid game.
Oh, there's an Afterburn connecting onto Tyra's, but the Bright Bullet comes down to stop any further aggression onto their Alpha. It seemed like G2 didn't really want to go for the killing blow onto Tyra's because he has the infinite reboot available. They kind of want to focus either jetpacks or Kavalafar down with their burst. And we've talked a lot about, I guess, G2's win conditions here, but might have to hold it a little bit as Kavalifar does get knocked back and he is in so much trouble. The Founder comes out, he's trying to get into the Sigil. Tyra's going to dive into the middle of the fight. Hundor able to get back, and here comes Dark Potato, tension bow, and the longest spear in the game, the Lance Impale, and that is going to be a first blood going over to Dark Potato.
I was really worried G2 was not going to clean that up. Like, we held on to the Impale for so long. Dark Potato trying to out-mind game Kavalifar, but Kval really did get caught. He was towards the top half of the lane, a little bit past the halfway mark, and as soon as we had that cooldown come out, Keanu, he saw his opportunity and was able to make it happen. But, fine, we popped out the boost. Dark Potato gets the kill. Had to go a little deep for it, but kill secured, and that is more of what we do want to see, right? The CC into more CC into an insta-kill using this tension bow, and that's something G2 is going to have to do a lot more of over the next few moments.
So, bring it back to this point of win conditions here for Core. We talked about G2s and theirs, but what do you feel like SK are going to be looking to do to really start to take some advantages in these fights?
Tyra's has to be the disruption. He has to be into that backline, using that prime directive to keep Hundor mobile. If they can keep Hundor more moving than attacking, well, we're going to have a big power advantage there at SK.
Bit of an experience lead for Dark Potato means hits hit level 6 over Tyra's. Now, level 6 doesn't really mean too much for a Lance apart from the absolute mobility that combat role can give you, the repositioning ability as well. And surprisingly, Jetpack's level 6 before Tyra's. That's not something you see very often, is your roam hitting level 6 before your lane or your jungle, but somehow Jetpacks has managed it here. Wow, okay.
He's been present for quite a bit of this farm here in lane. At the same time, Kval did die, right? So Tyra's came up into that lane there as well. And that's just more ambient into Jetpacks. But you're right, it is rather off-putting a bit to see that level 6 first. But a lot of these guys are going to be playing catch-up now as well, because you're going to be finding the 6 on Tyra's. He just found it there. Kval, 1 or 2 minions, he's going to get his 6 there as well. Not a huge window or game-ending window, but it's certainly an oddity.
Very, very interesting. Kavalifar hits his level 6, as does Tyros, but Kiana Nakoa going to find Tyros in his jungle. Afterburn comes through. G2 not going to chase too deep into the jungle, worried that Crystal Sentry can do a lot of damage. We saw it over in VGL, a bit of an on-hit Lance build. A bit of a fight breaking out though. SK looking for the engage. The wait for it goes out. It silences everyone. Kiana Nakoa in trouble. Here comes that termination protocol. Can it get the damage? It does find Kiana Nakoa. Kavalifar able to find the attack. Does Tyros go down? No, he survives. Prime directive onto the backline. A double kill comes forward. But Kavalifar and SK get the extended fight they needed to find an ace.
And Tyros, right? Star that one. He gets into the back. He actually has one of the very few termination protocols that have actually hit over the last few weeks that I've personally gotten to see. I mean, a lot of the time, it's just that threat of it, but this time he landed on 3. He was able to get back up. Even Hundor throwing through with the Solar Storm. Not enough to keep Alpha down, and they're able to clean up from there. So again, Tyra's into the back, making sure that these guys are stutter step and trying to kite out Alpha, but if she can still land that damage, that is such a setup for Kval, because they're going to collapse on top of the Alpha. Now Kval is in range. They're not focusing him. He has some great resonance. He has some great auto attack damage, and he's sitting on 2 items here as well. I mean, Tyra's has that Aftershock, but 2 item Kval and counting. This is what SK need.
Yeah, no, it's a definite good start for them. As soon as that level 6 Alpha came out, level 6 Vox, it felt like SK were ready to make a team fight work, and when the silence goes out from Kavalifar and hits all 3, then the disengaged potential that G2 have, this kind of kill potential onto Hundor, becomes a lot less, and that gives Tyros a great window of opportunity to really find some burst.
And as we go forward into the next matchup, well, we'll have to see if SK can pull a win out of their hat there again. Jetpacks didn't even have the Arcane Passage that fight. He'd used it previously just to make sure that some of this counter aggression was a bit more dangerous, and G2 did respect it. But if we can get Jetpacks in with that Arcane and Tyros can follow through, that's even a bigger advantage for SK.
Well, Siege coming out from G2, Tyros positioning aggressively. Ultimate's available for SK, and they may want to try and get into the fight here. Could use that Arcane Passage to get right onto the backline. Prime Directive goes in. Tyros is in the middle of the fight. Core Collapse will lock him down for now, but Kavalifar's on the sideline and the Resonance is bouncing. Keanu Nakoa knocks him away. Tyra's by himself, but the Termination Protocol at the last second, and that's going to be Hundor blown up. Cavalifar able to chase on out, just pushes the rest of G2 back. But this is such great aggression coming out of SK, and this kind of this signature Lance pick from Dark Potato, Jungle Lance, just hasn't quite had the impact that we've been used to seeing.
Well, the early game was, the theory was there, just we didn't get more than one kill out of it. Like, G2 was not able to use their early game to advantage. Like, you have a really good CC chain. You have a tension bow first here from Dark Potato, right? You need to be consistently applying pressure, looking for jungle invades, like finding those invades, but you even saw it, like they caught Tyrus once and they kind of backed off. They didn't want to throw down the damage on top of him. Like, so they weren't able to get anything really out of it early game. They weren't able to pressure lane. They refused to kind of look for Tyrus by himself. And, well, now you're going to be looking at a power deficit coming up because Dark Potato is going to be struggling for a second item.
Yeah, and another issue I feel that G2 are facing is kind of Keanu Nakoa on this Roam Glaive, Captain Glaive, is nowhere near as impactful as the utility Glaive we see come out of the jungle because he has to itemize into Fountain and he has less gold available to him, less gold income. You know, he's gone for the Atlas second item, perhaps looking for War Treads third, or perhaps some cooldown reduction to try and get that Afterburn up and running. But look at the power that just came out of SK's purchases. They've got the Broken Myth now onto Tyras and fusions onto everyone. Cavalifar very close to hitting a third damage item as well. And I feel like G2, they're a little bit scared to fight at this point after losing so decisively in the previous team fight.
Well, their big strategy is keep Hundor safe, right? He's a big glass cannon, needs to be kept very safe in these fights because otherwise he's just going to drop. I mean, he has one defensive item, and it's really up against the Alpha because she's not going to be building armor, almost guaranteed. Does take a turret for it because, again, a lot of power does reside on top of Hundor, but yeah, if they can't keep him going, it's not going to work.
Tyra's just threaded the needle with that Prime Directive and dodged out all the roots coming through, but finally something hits and Tyra's jet's blown up. He's still alive! Can he get the kill? Will he go down? Yes, he does. Then the impale on to Cavalifar means trouble for him. Jetpack's last man standing. He has no passage to escape. Giffian Wall will not stun perhaps Dark Potato Chasers, but wow. Tyra went so deep, and this time, unfortunately, SK just weren't able to follow up.
Well, he didn't pop the termination protocol. Unfortunately, not getting that off is a big power loss. It's a big pressure loss in those fights there as well. Yeah, he went deep, but that's kind of what he has to do. He has to make sure that Hundor is kept in line. And Cavalifar is really trying to follow this up with the damage, with the resonance, right, and all that. But we've built into armor, at least on Keanu. We're going to be building armor, I bet, into Dark Potato, but not having that blow-up potential from Tyras was a big detriment to SK that fight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Tyras is kind of the what am I looking? Missing link of this composition. When it goes well, it goes great for SK. They blow up a key target and they win the team fight. If it doesn't, then G2, their peel game works and they're able to follow through.
All right, there's the armor for Dark Potato because, again, we're just going to be sitting on top of this tension bow. And I'm starting to think more and more that Dark Potato's not really here for the clear. He's not really here for the damage. He's just here to get impales, get those Githians, and see what we can do and open up for Hundor because he's 3 items, has that Aegis. Again, you're likely not to see armor on him, but Dark Potato's aggressiveness, his damage output has certainly been curved down more in favor of these defensives.
Right, Boa goes down, preventing G2 from going for an immediate engage. They could look for one here now if they wanted to, but more likely to try and react to Tyras and his aggressive Prime Directives. Setting up a minefield on top of themselves, they are going forward. They have to be careful they don't overcommit to a fight, as if Tyras is able to get onto Hundor, blow him up, then it's all done and dusted. Their main damage source deleted. But SK are waiting out this team fight.
Hundor's farm is really paid off here as well. The hyper carry-ish nature of it. 170 last hits, 14 minutes. He's full 3 items. Kval's still sitting on 2. Tyra's sitting on 2 plus defensives. And yeah, it really is coming into the Hundor show. A lot of this will be Tyras versus Hundor. If Tyras can successfully keep Hundor from really performing in these team fights, it's going to be a G2 game. Well, It's not going to be a G2, it's going to be an SK game. If Hundor can successfully ward off the attempts and keep himself alive and the PO is real, it's absolutely going to be a G2 win.
This is very, very tense. 2,000 gold separate both these teams, and both teams are showing caution into initiating team fights here for court. No one really wants to be the one to pull the trigger, as they both kind of recognize that both sides have abilities to counter-engage, I guess, if things go wrong first time. So more just itemizing, looking for more items. We see that the wall treads are now complete for Kiana Nakoa. Means they can charge right on into Kavalifar, maybe try and blow him up in a heartbeat if they land their wombo combo CC.
Alright, so Kiana's kind of like the scout at this point, but look at SK just pushing up and up. We do have Infusion here and the boots from Hundor, so his cooldown reduction's online. Let's see if it's enough.
And I love the way G2 are just consistently playing in this corridor here in the lane. It means that SK can't really engage because you put those Helo Genesis down, they turn Supernova, do so much damage. The Impale so easy to hit. The Giphian War as well does plenty of damage when you go weapon power lands. It just makes things so difficult. Playing to the strengths of the team composition in where you kind of place yourself on the map is a huge strength to G2's composition.
Yeah, they're taking very smart engages, and that's no different here.
Well, they do miss the Impale. Tyras is going to get knocked up against the wall. There's the Silence coming forward, and Hundor's getting targeted. Solar Storm flies out, but he manages to escape the Termination Protocol. Kavalifar knocked out, stunned, and blown up. He gets rooted. Oh, that Impale's so good from Dark Potato, and another kill goes the way of G2. Jetpack's core collapse, and a double goes Hundor's way. And that is what we were talking about for Core. The ability to play in those corridors. It works so well for Celeste. It works so well for Lance. It works so well for Glaive.
And G2 just went fishing and got a real big catch on that one, because over the wall, Keanu just goes right through it with the afterburn. Hundor followed up with some mines, but playing around that area, I mean, they almost eliminated Tyrus just straight out the bat. He eventually hit the Termination Protocol, was able to still get back up, but by the time he went down to the time he stood up, Kavalifar melted. He had nothing really to stop the 3 damage pieces to come out through this one. And Kiana, before that fight, picked up his cooldown reduction. That's a big deal for those afterburn peels on top of it. And at the same time, like, again, Hundor had his cooldown reduction with the boots. He had the chargers picked up with the infusion right before fights. So that just worked out just pretty phenomenal for G2 overall. And Tyrus got sealed pretty hard.
Yeah, we're going to see another fight break out as Tyra's in a little bit of trouble. Jetpack's trying to slow down Hundor, and Hundor's trying to escape, but the Prime Directive lands, and Tyra's will find the kill. Kavalifar chasing down Kiana Nakoa. Tyra's looking for that Prime Directive, and he hits it across the wall, taking lots of damage, but that Termination Protocol is available, and the heals are coming out as well. That's going to be Dark Potato falling. Kiana Nakoa, last man alive, but the Kraken, she is still pushing, and she's made her way into the base here, so SK are going to have to recall and look to deal with it. The ace comes through, Kiana Nakoa does get caught, but this will most likely be at least one Vein Crystal turret going to G2.
What a stark difference in a fight, right? Tyrus has free reign, is the engager, gets into that backline almost immediately, and G2 scattered. It's a huge difference from the setup that they had. It was all premeditated. They went fishing, they got that catch. But when Tyrus is the one to engage in the open like that with nothing to hide behind, it's just a stark difference of power.
100%. The area of the map that they fought in there was really, I think, the key difference that allowed Tyrus to be able to get and stick to Hundor. You can't group up. It's so much harder to hit your abilities because Tyrus has so many more pixels to move across.
Pixels, yeah. The measurements aside, G2, I don't know, man. Like, it's still anybody's game, but Tyrus is finding an engage.
Yeah, he wants another one. The silence goes out, but this is one of those areas that G2 can turn a fight around. And look at how far back Hundor is. There's the Solar Storm flying out. Termination Protocol, it's going to land straight onto Hundor, but the blow-up is not enough, and they've already taken down jetpacks. That's going to be Tyra's bursted before he reboots, and now Kavalifar has to piece on out. Got the journey boots, got the run. He's just trying to escape here, but he may get... Nope, Afterburn doesn't connect, and that means he will definitely be able to get away from this one. The journey boots unlock ducking again. There's the Sonic Doom, dodges on out. He's actually laying down a huge amount of damage, and he just has to keep running, just has to keep hiding, but it may not be enough. G2 are going to look for the finish right now. 14 seconds on Jetpack's Cavalifa, trying to be the man to 1v3. He's doing the work, but an impale lands, and that's going to be him forced away from the Vein Crystal and taken on down by Dark Potato for the ace. G2 able to take game 1 of this final, but it was a hard-fought battle and a great setup for this final series.
Just back and